Hi, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and we're breaking this video up into two major parts, even though the first part is really going to take up like 2/3 of the video time-wise. But we're here to talk about everything that Dan Quinn had to say on Wednesday and Joey Jr. and Cliff Kingsbury had to say on Thursday about what is going on. They talked a lot about our current problems and some potential changes as far as strategy, different personnel, Joey Jr. going to the sideline. We're going to dive into all of that. That's going to be like the first 2/3 because that's also going to include an injury update so far up to the point of Thursday, November 6th. Also, the last part of this video is we're going to dive into this stat chart that shows the Commanders' projected draft pick according to most likely to happen. So there's different ranges. Just to give you a sneak peek, we're talking about picks 1 or 2. That's one part of the chart. Then picks 3 through 5. That's another part. Then another segment is picks 6 through 8. Then picks 9 through 11. It just keeps going down and down and down. You may be surprised where our highest odds currently lay right now. I'm gonna update y'all where our current pick is and then go into that chart as well. So we're gonna dive into all of that and more. And I hope a lot of y'all that, shouts out to channel members. I uploaded a lot of like the Halloween footage that I had, because we take Halloween super serious. So that's been uploaded for channel members only. I'm trying to work on more content that's specifically for channel members only. But without further ado, before we get into everything, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Appreciate y'all for supporting every video. Shouts out to my watch to the end gang, man, for watching all the way through to the end, man. Y'all don't understand how much that means to me. Shouts out to my late night crew. I'm recording this. It's 3:57 a.m. Shouts out to my Noti gang. Shouts out to all of y'all, man. And without further ado, let's go and dive into this video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so first of all, we have a big-time Jayden Daniels injury update. All the way back on Wednesday, Dan Quinn said that they're doing another medical meeting to determine Jayden Daniels' status. I want y'all to realize that they put Luke McCaffrey and Marshawn Lattimore on the injured reserve immediately. Like off rip, as soon as they could, they put them on the IR like we talked about in my previous video because they moved those two guys to IR. That allowed room for Traylon Burks and Sheldon Day to go from the practice squad to the active 53-man roster, and then they replaced those two practice squad spots with Trey Hawkins and Daryl Worley. I believe those two defensive backs. And again, I did a full breakdown on that in my previous video. Out of the way, though, most notably, Jayden Daniels was not placed on the IR. So they just have apparently this hope that he'll come back and still play at some point later on this season. They're probably even eyeing potentially like a return after the bye week, maybe against the Denver Broncos on my birthday, November 30th. Speaking of that, as you can see at the top left of the screen, I'm trying to get the 30K by my birthday. You know what I'm saying? So if you haven't subscribed yet, really appreciate it if you could do that, man. 30K by the birthday, man. Let's do it. But either way, head coach Dan Quinn talked about Jayden Daniels back on Wednesday, November 5th, and said they'll have an update in another day or two. They've been working on getting additional opinions on his left dislocated elbow. They discussed potential recovery options with a medical and orthopedic expert. And Ben Standig said that without having the MRI details, best case scenario is probably 1 to 2 months. Even if 4 weeks, an IR stint would still be logical. That's Ben Standig's opinion on it. And then shouts out to Commanders Wire's Serena Burks over there. She said, obviously, the biggest question is Jayden Daniels. A dislocated elbow is nothing to scoff at, and even if it doesn't require surgery, the Commanders need to let him sit and heal. I completely agree, man. Shut him down for the season the way this season is going, bro. I mean, we're already to the point where we're talking draft. You'll see when we get to the end of this video, bro, it's time to wrap it up, man. I mean, I'm definitely to the point, play the younger guys. I want to talk about that soon as well. This team isn't going anywhere this season, so there's no reason to rush Daniels back and risk re-injuring the arm or acquiring another injury that could be detrimental to his playing career long-term, like years down the line type of thing. Or, something that could affect them in 2026. Don't even put them in that situation. Whether that's what they do or not remains to be seen, but it sounds like we'll get another update in a couple of days. Mind you, a lot of this came out Wednesday, so maybe we'll finally get something later on during the day today, as in Friday. I'll, of course, let y'all know as soon as we find out. But shouts out to JP Finley, because he talked to former Washington wide receiver Leslie Shepard, and they said that because that person suffered a dislocated elbow and talked about the injury with JP Finley, they said, quote, "It's an excruciating pain injury for sure, but it's also something you can pop back from. He could definitely recover and not have any long-term effects," unquote. And so that's very optimistic. You know what I'm saying? That's great news to hear. Like, again, I want to shut him down for the season, but you know, that wasn't my concern. My whole thing is, will this affect them going into 2026 and beyond? And it sounds like from a lot of different people, doctors, everybody that has spoken on this situation, it sounds like this is absolutely nothing that should affect them long term. Basically, once he's healthy and recovered from just the dislocation in general, because there are no fractures or anything like that, he should be right back to 100%. You know, he shouldn't be capped off at like a 95% for the rest of his football career. He can go right back to being 100. But Disco brings up a great point. It's crazy because how it started, Jayden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown, Deebo Samuel, Luke McCaffrey, how it's going, Marcus Mariota, Chris Moore, Deebo Samuel, Jalen Lane, and Treylon Burks. Yo, Jayden, don't come back to this, bro. I'm sorry. It's just, I mean, if he's like super duper healthy, I'm trying to even convince myself of it. You know, I was thinking maybe, you know, get him some reps at the end of this season so he doesn't come back next season super rusty or anything like that. But nah, bro, I don't think anything is worth it at this point, bro. You're going to come back. I mean, now, granted, the only argument I can see for playing Jayden Daniels right now, whenever he comes back, whether it's in a month or two or whatever, it's in December or whatever, only argument I can see is that this offensive line is probably our only healthy positional group in out of the entire team. So, you know, maybe you can make the argument that as long as Cliff Kingsbury would have called different plays, you know, but then granted, we've still had a lot of pressure on Jayden Daniels, and that's why he keeps having to scramble. The time he got hurt against the Cowboys was in the pocket, but that's because teams are able to blitz us because we have no wide receiver threat. So I don't want to see Jayden out there ever again, period, in my personal opinion, for the rest of the season at this point. But even if you had to, please make sure you not only have the full offensive line healthy to protect them, but even that hasn't mattered, because if you don't have Terry and Deebo out there at the same time, both healthy, teams don't respect your receivers, and they're just going to blitz Jayden Daniels like crazy anyway and still get through, even though our offensive line has played well. Like, if you're looking at everybody's individual stats and advanced metrics and things like that, everybody's blocking well. Jayden Daniels is still getting hit because they're sending more than we can block. You have 5 offensive linemen. You can only block about 5 at max 6 guys with those guys. So, you know, they're just sending a lot of people at us because they have no respect for the wide receiver. So, again, I don't want to see him for the rest of this year, but if you just had to play him, make sure you have all of your receivers, at least your top ones, and all of your offensive line before you do it. Also, Dan Quinn, talking about a lot of other injuries, said that the subpart with the injuries was how hard they hit certain positions, defensive end and wide receiver specifically. I've been talking about this. This has been the worst injury season I've seen in a burgundy and gold season, arguably in my lifetime, bro. I feel like this is one of the most hurt NFL teams, not only just this year, but in recent memory, bro. Because it's your top 3 edge rushers. It's your top 3 of arguably 4 wide receivers. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's ridiculous how bad it's gotten. It's not just random rotational backup guys. It's the top guys. And then it's like hitting all of them. Not just your 1 starting receiver, not just your 2, 3, or arguably 4 if you want to consider Luke McCaffrey your 4th one. Defensive end, the top 3 guys, including not only, of course, most notably the guy that was 5th in the NFL in sacks before he got hurt and we lost him for season, bro. It's ugly. But going back to Dan Quinn, and said it made it more challenging to fill spots because now you're 3 players behind at any particular position. Like, if you lost 1 starter from each room, that's different, but losing 3 in the same room, 4 in another room, it's just like, I mean, what else could even possibly be available out there to try to make up for it? He said it also impacts continuity, and also said about the injuries that they have to find the right plan and have the right mindset. I mean, yeah, that's all nice and dandy, you know what I'm saying? It sounds good. Having the right plan, the right mentality, the right scheme is cool and all, but when you don't have the talent or the bodies, it's nothing you can really do. That's why I'm saying, yes, we could do way better than Joe Wood Jr. when it comes to defensive coordinating, but I mean, like, you could bring in any defensive coordinator, and with what we have to work with right now, especially after the injuries and the secondary, even though they weren't hurt, they were still playing poorly. And now Lattimore is on IR and probably gone for the rest of the season. I dare any defensive coordinator to come in here and get anything going. So whoever you throw out there is just going to end up being thrown to the wolves anyway. You might as well just go ahead and ride the ship with Joey Jr. unless you want to go ahead and, elevate somebody from within to kind of give them an opportunity to see what they could do. And maybe, that's enough time to figure out what their game plan is going into next season or something. But even then, again, you're giving them a broken defense, and it's only but so much they'll be able to accomplish anyway. Also, Dan Quinn didn't name Marshawn Lattimore's replacement yet, but highlighted Jonathan Jones and Mike Sanverstill as guys that can play both outside and in the slot, and that Noah Benogany will eventually play. He's been a healthy scratch, inactive for the last couple of weeks. I thought he was going to end up being traded before the trade deadline because I felt like, again, he was healthy and just not active in games. I felt like they were preserving him, keeping him in the refrigerator for another team before they trade him away, not allowing him to get hurt. But now he has to play. So with Marshawn Lattimore out, Jonathan Jones will, of course, play more. And he and Mike Sanverstill can play outside, depending on if Trey Amos' hip is an issue right now. Trey Amos is dealing with a hip injury right now. He went back out there dealing with it and got beat because he was hurt at some point in that game, and he kept playing through it. But, I mean, he definitely didn't look like himself. So we'll see what happens. But, of course, with Mike Sanverstill, Jonathan Jones, and Noah Benogany, all three of those guys can play outside and inside. But, I mean, of course, I'm to the point where, like, hey, sounds like we need to move Sanverstill back outside because he was a really good corner for us last year. And then we move him back inside, and suddenly he's not good anymore. I feel like a lot of it has to do with Joe Wood Jr., but also maybe Mike Sanverstill, he's an undersized outside corner, but maybe he is better at outside corner than inside, which is an ugly situation with three outside corners. That's Trey Amos, Lattimore, and Sanverstill. That's an ugly situation. But I've already said in previous videos, I think we already saw the last of Marshawn Lattimore in a Commanders jersey. So we might as well just go ahead and throw Sanverstill back outside, even if Trey Amos is healthy. Just throw Jonathan Jones as the slot corner or whatever. Go ahead and throw Mike Sanverstill back outside and see if that's literally the problem. Are there other parts of it? Does Sanverstill just actually get worse at football? Or is it literally just simply because he went from outside back inside and he played better outside? I'm curious to see how that goes. And Dan Quinn said there has been, quote, up and down moments, unquote, from Sanverstill, but he likes the ball hawking mentality. But there have been moments of over trying. Not surprising because he's a competitor, but it can't come at the expense of veering off course. I agree, but I don't feel like all of his problems have just been from trying too hard. You saw against the Seahawks. Sometimes he just straight up got beat, and it had nothing to do with trying too hard. He just got beat. Either way, Dan Quinn, going further into some of the adjustments that we may make moving forward for the rest of the season, he said the Commanders are really excited about Jordan McGee, and he has the quickness and range to go side to side to make plays. And I've been screaming this for a while now, but now especially we're already to the point we're talking draft. I'm to the point where I'm saying sit Jayden Daniels down for the rest of the season, even if he does come back fully healthy. I'm to the point where we need to play all of our younger players way more often. Ben Sinnott over Zach Ertz is what I'm talking about. Jordan McGee, Kane Madrano, and Ale Cajo over Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu more often. You can play Frankie Louvu some because he's going to be here next year, but I don't think Bobby Wagner is going to be here next year. Now, good luck trying to bench those leaders like Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz, but hey, even if it's like a soft benching where you play the younger guys more often, I need to see that. At wide receiver, we need way more Treylon Burks. We need to keep targeting Jalen Lane until he somehow learns how to catch. Hopefully, we get that out the way this season. So by the time we get into next season, that problem doesn't leak into 2026. Go ahead and throw Jalen Lane the ball over and over again until he learns how to catch, bro. And it's also time to give shots to even guys like Ja'Cory Brooks especially, but even start giving guys like on the practice squad like Jacoby Jones some opportunities as well. And then at safety, I want to rotate Tyler Owens in there more often. And I think it's also time to elevate a guy like Robert McDaniel off the practice squad and let him play a little bit too, because he shined a lot at some point in the preseason. It might have been like week 2 or week 1, I can't remember, but he shined a lot as well. Even just rushing the passer wise, he was consistently getting after the quarterback as a safety. You know what I'm saying? I'm to the point, play the younger guys. I don't care about this floor. I don't care about this veteran leadership stuff anymore this season. As far as going to the playoffs, going to the Super Bowl, looks almost as good as possible. I'm still going to watch and stream every game that I can, but the main aspect of these games that I'm looking for are the young talent. I'm gonna keep saying it. 2026 is the Commanders' revenge season for all the trash that everybody's talking right now. While we're down and hurt, again, I blame injuries on the vast majority of why this season went the way it did. So let us get back healthy. Let's retool. Let's go back in. 2026 is our revenge tour year. We're going to get back to everybody that has been talking crazy and acting like we just fell off the... I'm telling you right now, we are more so our 2024 selves than we are our 2025 selves. I firmly believe that. And my thing is, for the rest of this season... And it's crazy, we're only at the halfway point, we're early November, but for the rest of this season, I want as many guys auditioning for the 2026 Commanders Revenge Tour. I want to see if Jordan McGee really deserves to be one of our starter linebackers. I want to see if Treylon Burks deserves to be one of Jayden Daniels' top targets. I want to keep rotating guys in, bring guys off the practice squad, sign guys off the street. I want to see if we could just find some random diamonds in the rough and who could potentially contribute and have a positive impact on our 2026 Revenge Tour. So again, I want to play the younger guys a lot more often. Of course, Dan Quinn would never say that, but I'm hoping that he kind of goes about it that way slightly where some of the younger guys do start to play more. But I mean, at this rate, with the way the injuries are going, the younger guys are naturally just going to play more anyway. Again, we're only halfway through the season, and this is the most hurt season I've ever seen in my burgundy and gold life of the Commanders, Redskins, football team, whatever you want to call them, bro. And so, who knows what's going to happen for the rest of the season. I'm not wishing injuries on anybody. I hope everybody stays 100% healthy from where we are right now. Everybody recovers. Everybody comes back just fine like nothing happened, but I already know that's not good. It's not very likely, bro. The season already insanely injured. But either way, moving on. Now, Dan Quinn even talked about the Joe Wood Jr. situation, talked about him moving down to the field. He will no longer be up in the booth. Now, when I heard that, I assumed that was Dan Quinn's decision. But when we come back after a short break, we're actually going to talk about how Joe Wood Jr. was the one that asked Dan Quinn to move Joe Wood Jr. down to the sideline. I thought that was interesting. Also, Dan Quinn, when asked about Mitch Tisler, if the Commanders are pressing in the run game, he referenced a second and short from Sunday where a running back tried to bounce one for a big play instead of taking the first, called it competitiveness. That's misguided. That's a lot of the problems that you're having with a lot of the young guys, and I'm assuming he's talking about Bill right there. Because Bill, I love Bill. I'm one of Bill's biggest fans, but he had some vision problems and some decision-making problems against the Seahawks, which is weird because I thought, one of the main things he had to him, especially early on, Chargers game and all of that type of stuff, was vision. It just seemed like he always made the right decision of which hole to go to, when to go there, and things like that. That Seahawks game was the complete opposite. I don't know what that was. That was just not the same Bill I'm used to seeing. And when Chris Rodriguez came into the game, he took the yards that were there, and it just suddenly the offensive line looked like it was blocking better. But Bill deserves a lot of the blame for that. I'm assuming that's what Dan Quinn's referencing, but my point is, the reason I'm bringing this up is that you're going to have a lot of those mistakes. But that's another reason why you need to play these young guys. There's no reason to keep forcing it with Bobby Wagner this season. Then we go to 2026, he's no longer on this team, and then you have Jordan McGee, Ale Cajo, and Kane Madrano still confused because they didn't get enough teaching tape out there in the 2025 season so that they can have film on themselves and learn how to adjust and adapt to certain things and work on specific things or parts of their game so that by the time they get to the 2026 season, they are just better players, bro. The more they play now, the better they'll be later, bro. Zach Ertz is not going to be here next year. I can tell you that right now. Please play Ben Sinnott and John Bates more, especially Ben Sinnott most notably, bro. Go ahead and play him more often. That way, worst case scenario, if they just suck, at least now we know you've given them plenty of games to show that they do, and now we can go into the offseason with a better idea of exactly what our needs are, rather than still having question marks of, maybe Ben Sinnott's good, maybe he's not, so maybe we shouldn't address tight end early in the draft, because we still don't know if Ben Sinnott's good or not. No, go ahead and play Jordan McGee, Kane Madrano, Ale Cajo, Treylon Burks, all of these young guys, wide receivers, running backs, everything but offensive line. I want a bunch of young guys out there going out there and doing whatever and learning from whatever mistakes they make, bro, please. But either way, now before we move on to the next part of this video, shouts out to Sleeper, man. With them, you have a chance to 1,000 times your cash on daily fantasy football, man. And I know this season is looking a little ugly, but there's still a lot of great football to watch, even outside of the burgundy and gold. And even just burgundy and gold wise, Deebo Samuel is looking like he's starting to get back healthy. Marcus Mariota is going to be a starting quarterback. He may surprise people, bro. Again, this NFL season is drunk. Team A beats Team B, Team B beats Team C, you just assume Team A is better than Team C, then Team C will go and beat Team A by 30 points. The NFL season, anything can happen. We may end up beating somebody you never expect. So you can pick on stats for a lot of our different players like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more for up to 1,000 times payout on Sleeper. And right now, new users can even get a free $20 without a deposit like you see on the screen right now, on top of the already get a 100% match up to $100 using promo code SCORE, that's SCORE, or you can just click the link at the top of the description of this video and every video on live stream I'm doing all season. And of course, you know, just real quick, I want to dive into some quick little duos that we could get into real quick. And hey man, you know I'm always hunting for the least likely odds, so it has the biggest payout, highest risk, highest reward situation. I've never seen this whole season, I've never seen an NFL popular duo with a 16.7 times odds, bro. Now granted, yes, you could turn $10 into 167, but there's a reason that it is that unlikely, because you're not only saying that Jahmyr Gibbs will get a touchdown and Rico will get a touchdown in their game, you're saying that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get the first touchdown out of anybody that gets a touchdown in this upcoming Commanders-Lions game on Sunday night. And you're also saying that Rico against the Saints is going to get the first touchdown between the Panthers and the Saints in that game. Like, both of these guys have to be the first guys to get touchdowns in their games. Now, granted, if they do, you're only doing this for 2 players, and it's still very unlikely, but it is only 2 guys. And if you get that right, you could turn 10 into 167. You could turn 20 into 334. Look at them calling me broke at the bottom, man. Look at me, man. How embarrassing, right? And you could turn 100 into 1,670. You just need 2 people to get it right, bro. And again, shouts out to Sleeper. With them, you have a chance to 1,000 times your cash. Now let's get back to the next part of this video, man. All right, so just to let you know, just give you a heads up, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to hold anybody's attention for hostage, just to give you a heads up. We're about to dive into all of the injury updates that we've gotten since Wednesday and Thursday for this entire team, like the actual injury reports. We're even going to look at the Detroit Lions one real quick as well. Then we're going to break down, one major thing that Cliff Kingsbury said about the offense. Then we have a couple of notes to break down from Joey Jr. And then we get to the draft stuff and like our highest odds picks and things like that. I'm gonna show you the chart and all of that. So just to give you the heads up, if you purely want that, of course I would love for y'all to watch these videos all the way through every second, but just go ahead and skip ahead if you're literally only here for draft content. I'm just gonna go ahead and get that out the way. But let's dive into the injuries. First of all, you have Trey Amos and Bill Merritt. Back on Wednesday, they were wearing non-contact black jerseys, so my ears were already perked up. But of course, with them wearing non-contact jerseys, Amos is dealing with a hip issue like we already talked about. Krosky Merritt had some dental work done. Now, I don't exactly know what it was, but it was enough for him to have to be in a black non-contact jersey on Wednesday. Also, both safeties, Quan Martin and Tyler Owens, were working off to the side field back on Wednesday. And then now, here's the official injury update for Wednesday and Thursday. So things don't seem as bad as they originally did once we were getting a lot of those updates from Wednesday. As of Thursday evening, now we know that a lot of the Commanders guys are trending in the right direction as far as playing against the Lions on Sunday. So Quan Martin and Tyler Owens were DNPs on Wednesday, but then they were limited on Thursday. So looks like they're headed in the right direction. That's a positive trajectory there, injury-wise, health-wise. And then also defensive tackle Eddie Goldman, defensive tackle Johnny Newton, and running back Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt were limited on Wednesday, but practiced in full on Thursday. So all good news right there. Of course, Jayden Daniels and Terry. I'm not expecting Terry to come back anytime soon. And again, I don't want Jayden Daniels to come back anytime soon. And then Trey Amos still limited both days dealing with that hip issue. Again, he came back and played in that Seahawks game. He didn't play well because the hip injury was clearly bothering him. But, I would be surprised if he didn't play against the Lions because he still played against the Seahawks when he immediately after he suffered the injury. And then Tyler Owens, I don't know, hamstring and neck injury, but again, trending in the right direction. Kosin Yankov hasn't played in a few weeks, limited so far in the first 2 days. Everybody else seems to be good to go. Even like Laramie Tunsil didn't participate on Wednesday, full on Thursday. Bobby Wagner, some sort of a thumb injury, but he was a full participant every day. So, still, this is the most hurt season I've ever seen from the Commanders. But as far as the guys that are available on injury report, seems like at least those guys are going the right direction. And then looking at the Detroit Lions side of the injury report, it's looking quite likely that they'll be without safety Kirby Joseph and defensive lineman Pat O'Connor. Now we'll see about running back Jacob Saylors, who doesn't. I mean, it's not like it's Jahmyr Gibbs or anything like that, but we'll see. Then Taylor Decker's trending in the right direction, but he was still limited on Thursday, along with a lot of their other players, like you see right now. Some of the most notable ones, of course, is tackle Penei Sewell. He was limited as well. But other than that, the Detroit Lions were probably even more hurt than this when we played them in the playoffs last year, but they're still a pretty banged up team. But now moving on to what Cliff Kingsbury and Joe Wood Jr. had to say Thursday, November 6th. Cliff Kingsbury, one of the most notable things that he said was, quote, "I think all of us are pressing a little bit." And again, mind you, just to step away from the quote real quick, that's the same thing Dan Quinn said on Wednesday about the offense as well, going back to Cliff Kingsbury. But I think as an entire offense, we're pressing, and we just got to make the routine plays and allow those plays to happen, unquote. Again, I blame this season on injuries more than anything else, and I don't even think it's close. But at the same time, and then of course, again, the coaches will never just say that out loud. They're never going to say that. You got to kind of read in between the lines for that type of stuff. But at the same time, though, I still admit that even though injuries are the number one reason why this season has gone the way it has, we still have a lot of problems even outside of the injuries. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying at all that if we were a fully 100% healthy team, or at least one of the healthier teams in the NFL. You only have to be 100% healthy, because who is in the NFL at any given week? But at least if we were like top 10 in healthiest teams in the NFL, if we still had as many starters as the top 10 NFL teams as far as available starters and things like that, I still feel like we had enough flaws to where, yeah, we're definitely not undefeated. You probably still have like 3 or 4 L's, but it's nowhere near as bad as what it is right now. You know what I'm saying? So, but I still think, again, injuries number one. But there's still a lot of flaws on this team, roster construction-wise, scheme, coaching, time management from Dan Quinn. That has nothing to deal with injuries. You know what I'm saying? With the way that we use our timeouts, and we're already going into the fourth quarter with only one timeout left and things like that. So there's a lot of things we still got to work on even outside of the injuries. But then moving on to Joe Wood Jr. as well. Part of the Commanders' defensive coordinator Joe Wood Jr.'s answer on why he's moving down to the field from the booth. He said, quote, "We're going to try something different because the results haven't been good enough," unquote. And I kind of like that. Like, even if you don't have an exact reasoning, if there's no real logic as to why you're making a change, at the very least, I always have it in the back of my mind. The definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Even if there isn't a good, like a literal, actual good reason that you can point towards as to why he needs to move from the booth to the field. Hey, the booth hasn't been working. Let's just try the field. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about a lot of different things. But he also does provide a good reason for why he feels like he needs to move to the field, more than just, hey, the other thing ain't working, let's just try the other one. But he said that even he asked Dan Quinn about switching from calling plays from the box to the sideline. He said the vantage point is ideal to be that high up, of course. I mean, you would think schematically, strategically, you would love to be from an all bird's eye 22 view type of way, but it's not working. But he said also, in-game communication improves when standing with the players. And he even said that some of the players asked him overtime, can he please come down to the sideline? So I don't know what took him so long. You know what I'm saying? Again, going back to the fact that, again, injuries are the number one reason why this season has gone so poorly. But why did it take you this long to finally be like, you know what? Even after players have asked, and now you're finally waiting so this long to go to the sideline. That's one of the reasons why this season has gone the way that it has. Shouts out to Zach Selby. He pointed out the fact that Washington's defensive performances over the last month, particularly in Week 9 loss to the Seahawks, have not been up to standard at all, according to Joe Wood Jr. The unit, which had issues during the 2024 season but still managed to hold offenses at bay, has slipped in almost every metric in 2025, as it ranks near the bottom in average yards allowed per game 28th, passing defense 29th, and points allowed per game 22nd. I'm surprised it's not worse than that. It feels way worse than that. They have also struggled to create turnovers and are tied for the third fewest in the league. Bro, if we didn't have 3 opportune turnovers from Mike Sanders still, we'd probably be dead last. Also, the Commanders believe moving Witt to the field can help improve at least some of the numbers, although it will come at the cost of certain advantages. Most of the defensive coordinators that Witt has coached with, from Quinn himself to Mike Patine, have all called plays from the box because the vantage points allowed them to get a better view of the field and make personnel decisions. I do agree. I feel like being in the booth is better, naturally, but it's not working, so try the other thing. Go down to the field. And if that doesn't work, how about you get a blimp and just be up there calling play? I don't know. How about you go home and do it from a video with a video game controller in your hand? Something. We got to keep changing up something. But with the Commanders allowing 110 points in the last 3 weeks, that is insane. Witt is willing to sacrifice that advantage if it means the unit can play better. The blame for how the defense has dropped this season, he said, starts with him. He said, quote, I got to do better, getting the coaches to get the players to understand how we're going to do it, and we got to get this thing turned. We got to get this thing turned right now, unquote. Well, I feel like it's a little too late, but again, my whole goal of the rest of this season is to experiment and figure out what works so you can take that into next year, so you can help it, and it can help provide a positive advantage or impact on our 2026 revenge tour, bro. Just try stuff. And it's even crazy too, because they did try stuff. They decided going into that Kansas City game, we're going to simplify the defense. Instead of making it too complicated, we're going to make it to where instead of the coaches, changing things based on like, okay, the offense is showing this, so the defense is going to do this. He's like, no, this is the defensive play call no matter what the offense is doing, and y'all as players figure it out. That first half against the Chiefs was the best 2 straight quarters, the best half of football we've seen from this defense all season by far. And then the Chiefs, the second half, figured it out. Seemed like the Seahawks came right back and figured it out as well. I don't know what to do at this point. I feel like, again, injuries are the most to blame, but at least they showed that we're trying stuff. They went to that Kansas City game schematically different than anything they did in any game this season up to that point, and it was working for a half. They were the first team to hold the Chiefs scoreless in the first quarter since week 10 of last season. So you can see that it's like random things that you change can work. It doesn't sound like it will work on paper, but it really worked very well for us. Let's just keep trying new things. Also, Joe Wood Jr. said, quote, the aggravating thing is we're not winning. We're not playing a good brand of ball. We're looking at everything, and it starts with me. It's my job to get the defense to play at a better level, and I haven't done that, unquote. So that's him taking a lot of blame for a lot of the things that's going on. He also said, quote, the last 4 weeks, I wouldn't have thought we'd be playing the way we have been. We're looking at everything. I don't dodge anything. It's my job to get the defense to play better at a better level, and I haven't done that. I've got to do a better job, unquote. And if you wanted to see just real quick 18 seconds of him talking about the defense not living up to the standard, if you don't care about this, just go ahead and skip ahead 18 seconds.
The play has not been, especially this last week, to the standard at all. And like I said, that starts with me. I got to do a better job getting the coaches to get the players to understand how we're going to do it. And we got to get this thing turned. We got to get it turned right now.
And now we're here. For the draft content that some of y'all may have been looking forward to, maybe that's one of the main reasons y'all clicked on this video. Well, just to let you know, shouts out to the Cardinals for beating the Dallas Cowboys. That moved us up a pick. And then also, I don't know, we went from 10 to 8. I don't know how we moved from 10 to 8 exactly, but out the way, we now have the 8th pick according to Tankathon. So, hey, we'll take it. We're moving up and up and up. We were with the 10th pick, I think immediately after the Seahawks lost before that Cardinals-Cowboys game. And shouts out to the Arizona Cardinals for beating the Cowboys because, hey, we have injuries. Cowboys just suck. They have most of their players, and they just, I don't know what their problem is. So that was a win-win for us because Arizona was ahead of us in draft pick order. Beating the Cowboys, they moved behind us, which moved us up. And then also, anytime the Cowboys lose, that makes us happy as Burgundy and Gold fans every time. Of course, RIP to Marshawn. No, man. RIP to Marshawn. That's a crazy situation, man. But out of the way, the Commanders, as of right now, have the 8th pick in the draft. And then according to NFL mock draft database, and of course this doesn't include compensatory picks yet, and of course we are without our 2nd and 4th round picks, but right now we have the 8th pick in the 1st round, which means we have the 72nd pick in the 3rd round. Again, mind you, no compensatory picks yet, but as of today we have the 148th pick in the 5th round, the 187th pick in the 6th round, the 200th pick in the 6th round, the 222nd pick in the 7th round. And Disco, I appreciate you for reminding us that the Commanders spent 8 picks to acquire the combination of Laramie Tunsil, Marshawn Lattimore, and Deebo Samuel. 8 picks. But at the same time, though, even though I still want as many day 1 and day 2 picks, round 1 through 3 picks as possible, those 2024 2nd round picks haven't looked good this year at all, huh? Like, we've had flashes at times from Johnny Newton, flashes from Mike Sanders still, especially last year. Last year was one big flash throughout the entire season. He looked like an elite defensive back last year. I don't know what happened this year. And then we've seen a couple of flashes from Ben Sinnott, but not enough to validate them, all 3 of those guys being drafted in the 2nd round of the same draft, bro. So, of course, we want as many 2nd round picks as possible, especially with the fact that we don't have any right now. But it's not like 2nd round picks is just automatic home run hitters. But again, most importantly, I would love to find a way to get some second round picks. Maybe we'll make some trades in the offseason, even though we didn't before the trade deadline. Maybe we'll trade back in the first round if we end up with a higher draft pick. Speaking of, again, as of right now, we're the 8th draft pick in the first round. But according to this chart done by Scott Allen in his newsletter for the Washington Post, here are your chances at a particular draft slot heading into week 10 of the 2025 regular season. Right now, our highest odds are to be picking somewhere between picks 6, 7, and 8. 6 through 8 right now. The next highest odds, I feel like, I mean, if you really zoom in, they look about the same. So, whereas just as likely, somewhere it looks like 17% to be picking 3 through 5, 3, 4, 5th in the first round, or 9 through 11, which is 9th, 10th, or 11th in the first round as well. Then your next highest odds are 12 through 14. Then it looks like it's a tie for like maybe 8.5% or whatever for picks 1 and 2, which is insane. There's almost a 10% chance that we could end up with the first or second overall picks in the draft, and we don't need quarterback. That could be a gold mine, dog. You could trade back for one of those teams, let them that wants a quarterback, they trade up. You get a bunch of first round picks, and now, or maybe like you move back just a few spots, you still get one of the elite dominant defensive players or a wide receiver like a Arvell Reese or Ruben Bain or whatever, and then Caleb Downs, and then with that trade back you acquire some first or even some seconds in that same draft. Now you have second round picks again, bro. So that's the difference between picking 8th and potentially picking like first or second, bro. So that could be monumental. Again, it's interesting that we basically have the same odds to pick first or second as we do 15 through 17, that's 15th, 16th, or 17th. And then after that is just this drop off of 18 through 20 if we somehow just miraculously go on an insane winning streak. Same thing with 21 through 23. I mean, somehow, we have about 2% chance of winning the Super Bowl according to this chart right now. I thought that was really interesting. I saw somewhere else that we only had a 1% chance of making the playoffs, so I don't know how this is going on. But either way, hey man, at least it looks like at worst, highest odds wise, we'll end up with a pick somewhere in the top 8. But man, 8% chance, around 8% chance to be picking 1 or 2. I think that's really interesting. Now, before we get up out of here, shouts out to Tailgate Ted. He pointed out the fact that for anyone heading to Spain, if you bought your tickets through the official sites, check your email. I just received my seat download email, and I know a few others got theirs earlier today, and this was back on Thursday, November 6th, yesterday. Be on the lookout if you haven't seen yours yet. So for shouts out to those of y'all that are still going to Spain, even though it's going to probably be ugly, because it's going to be Marcus Mariota versus Quinn Ewers, not even Tua Tagovailoa is what people expected. This game is ugly. We're already the most hurt team in the entire NFL. Dolphins have their fair share of injuries as well. So, but hey man, make sure you go out there and enjoy Spain. Don't let the Commanders season ruin your adventure. You're spending so much money to go out there. Please enjoy Spain. I was in Sevilla for like 5 weeks. I never made it to like the bigger cities like Barcelona, Madrid, and stuff like that. So, hey man, if y'all get a chance to travel, please make sure you enjoy it. Again, do not let what's going on with this Commander season affect your Spain trip. And again, the main reason I was letting y'all know this information was to let you know that if you bought the tickets through the official sites, you probably should already have your tickets in your emails by now. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you feel about everything discussed in the video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this. So make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. I really appreciate y'all. Shouts out to my Watch That In gang, man. If you're still, I'm like 40 minutes into recording and it's 4:30 a.m. and if y'all are still watching all the way through to this point in the video, still watching me, hearing me, seeing me, all of that, y'all are the GOATs. I salute you and appreciate you personally. Shouts out to my Watch That In gang, man. Shouts out to my late night crew that's going to be on this immediately. And if you're on this immediately, that means you also know the gang as well. So shouts out to y'all too. And of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything discussed in this video. If you care more about draft content, let me know that in the comment section. Should I just go ahead and dive head first into doing mock drafts and all of that? Let me know if you want me to keep you updated on the team at the same time. Like, do you want me to balance both? I feel like this video, one of the main reasons I did it this way was you're still getting some updates for the 2025 season, but I threw in a little bit of draft content at the end as as well. Do y'all still care for me to kind of mix it up with a little bit of both? Not completely giving up on the season, and I'm still going to be live streaming the games, watching them with y'all and everything like that, but you want me to go ahead and start mixing in some draft content as well. Let me know how y'all feel about that. I'm going to really try to see as many of those comments as possible to see how y'all feel, just to, you know, like how do the people feel? How do the StreetScores family feel? Also, if you haven't become a channel member, go become one, because I'm really working on exclusive content for that. Like, I'm about to start probably doing some film sessions and things like that. I really want to make sure all of my channel members that y'all are paying monthly, y'all are getting some exclusive content. And I started it off with showing y'all some of my footage from the Halloween that we just did, because we do Halloween huge, bro. Halloween huge, like spending crazy money making stuff. I'm talking about 7 foot, 8 foot, 9 foot, 12 foot animatronics, all of that stuff. So go ahead and check that out if you're a channel member, if you haven't already. But I really appreciate y'all. Leave a like on the way out. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.